Hey guys! Welcome back! This is my first time sitting down and doing this in, I think, about a month, since the past couple of videos have been vlogs or with my friend Tim. If you haven't watched those yet, I think I'll pop it into one of these where the icon and the eye inside. This week's video, as you can tell, November favorites. I'm gonna break it off into, in the beginning, podcast books, middle, beauty stuff, makeup, hair, and the end, music. In case you guys are wondering, I'm sitting in my grandma's bedroom facing a window because this is where the lighting's the best. When I was in New York, my mom decided to remodel my mom decided to remodel our home on a whim. So right now my home is completely gutted, and I'll be here for the next couple of weeks. So that's that, and let's just get straight to November favorites. So the first thing I want to talk about is a podcast. Tim, my friend who I interviewed 2 videos ago for 2 videos, he sent this to me. It's Good Life Project. The founder of this podcast, his name is Jonathan Fields. He's basically on a quest to define what it means to live a good life for himself. And along the process, he wants to document and share what he's learned with everyone, talking to spiritual gurus, leaders, thought leaders, authors, people who are known for their craft, people who are very educated, people who are very educated on one specific topic. The 3 podcasts that I love so far. The first one is with Elizabeth Gilbert. If you guys watched my first video of what inspired me to start my YouTube channel, you know I talk about her book, Big Magic, and it is awesome. One with her is about creating your life in real time. So this whole conversation was deeply moving, super insightful. It's like filled with nuggets of wisdom. If you are, I was gonna say if you're like trying to pursue a creative life, you should definitely listen to this. I think anyone can benefit from creativity. So this is a really good podcast. That's the first one. The second one is with Mark Manson. I also referred to him in my first video of eating a shit sandwich. I'll also link that article. He is known for his writing, short form, long form. He recently came out with a book called The Art of Not Giving a. The beginning of this podcast really resonated with me because Mark Manson, I knew he was a spiritual person, but he actually derives a lot of his life perspectives and his life philosophies from Buddhism. And as you guys know, what I practice, Falun Dafa, it belongs in the school of Buddhism as well. So there's a lot of Buddhist principles, and it goes from Jonathan Fields asking Mark Manson to kind of explain what Buddhism means to him and how he's used Buddhist principles to kind of do the things that he's doing now, like writing a book, or how he's applying those principles into his writing. And super fascinating. The last one is with Panesh Desai. Hopefully I'm not saying that wrong. This podcast, just from the start, it dives straight into the deep end and it stays there for the whole time, which I love because I'm a very feelings person who loves and enjoys these type of heavier conversations. It's so raw and so meaningful, and you really get to know these people. So for Panesh Desai, his daughter has heart problems. She's been coming in and out of the hospital for the past couple of years, and I think she's really young. And the beginning of the interview starts with Jonathan Fields asking him about, hey, this is going on, what are your thoughts, how do you feel about it? Because right after this interview, Panesh actually flew home to be with his family because I think his daughter had to go get a heart transplant or like something, like a massive, like a really big procedure. She had to get a huge procedure done. So the way that he talked about this whole situation, the way that he talked about how, how much he loves his daughter for allowing him this opportunity of growth, of learning, of trying to make peace with a lot of things, with himself, with reality, with life, with things that life throws at us. it was just so beautiful. I mean, I think it reminded me a lot of myself when my brother passed away, of how, you know, I try to see the best in everything. I try to not let, I don't know, I want to try to make the best of every situation. And the way that he just talked about it and how thankful and how grateful he is of this like shitty situation, it was really touching. And not gonna lie, I cried. And even thinking about it now, I want to cry again. But I cried at least 3 times during that podcast. And that's like the beginning half. The latter half, it's just so, it's so good. It's so, like, it's really spiritual. It's a lot about being present, what it means to be present, how to be present, especially in this day and age where technology and phones and computers and, you know, distraction. How do you kind of block yourself off from all of that? Or how do you learn to live in a peaceful coexistence with all of these things? Next, books. So the first book the first book I want to talk to you guys about is The War of Art. The War of Art. So don't get it confused with The Art of War. That's not this. The War of Art. Break through the blocks and win your inner creative battles. This book will help you identify the major bottlenecks of your life as to why you haven't been living the life you are meant to live, or the dream life that you've always wanted to live. And it will help you overcome these obstacles, which Stephen Pressfield identifies as resistance. Resistance is the bane of our existence. It is the #1 enemy that we all have, and resistance comes in many forms. It is procrastination, it is fear, it is lust, it is a lot of things that the book spends the first. So it's broken down into 3 parts. The first part just pretty much identifies what resistance is. So the second part of the book deals with the techniques and the mindsets that you can have or develop to combat resistance now that you know what it is. The third part has more of a spiritual element that kind of strings the 3 books together as a whole cohesive book. And if you are, regardless if you're on a creative journey, I feel like everything I've talked about so far is very creative and spiritual, but I think that's kind of the place I am right now. So it's less businessy, less like techie, and more just trying to like figure out how to walk this path that I've chosen to walk. So that's the first book. All right, the second book is Ami Song. She is the blogger at Song of Style. It's her book, Capture Your Style. It's basically a book teaching you how to up your Instagram game. If you guys are at all interested in doing that, this is a good read. It's very aesthetically pleasing. It's very nicely laid out. It's a really quick and easy read. I read it within 1 sitting. And if anything, you know, yeah, the timing to pose, different angles, what's the best angle to pose, which is, you know, you actually want whoever's taking a picture of you to kneel down and take it kind of facing up so it makes your legs look longer. All of those things are super beneficial, but the main thing that I took away was the way that she thought about everything, like her mindset on how anal she is and how attentive she is to the little details, because I'm kind of like that too, but like she's on a whole nother level, and it's very admirable. So for example, before she travels to different places, for example Cairns, she'll do research and see, oh, Cairns, there's a lot of like rocks near the beach, and then the water is like this beautiful dark turquoise color. So what kind of, like, what colored clothes should she pack that'll match wherever she's at? So that's like a really, not sure if that was a good example, but what I remember when I read that, I was like, holy balls, like she just thinks about every little detail, and that is so important with things like Instagram, paying attention to textures, paying attention to color, lighting, all of that. And so great read, highly recommend. Third book, Nasty Gal, Sophia Amoruso's Nasty Galaxy. Again, this is another like coffee table, very aesthetically pleasing book. I also read this in one sitting. To be honest, I wish there was a little more substance, but I get that it was supposed to be a scrapbooky like representation of how Sophia Amoruso went and like built this nasty gal empire, which is pretty cool. So all these, lots of inspiration, lots of awesome people doing awesome things. And now we will move on into beauty. So the first thing that I want to talk about, Good Genes by Sunday Riley. As you can see, it is gone on the other side. I've used it completely. So this is a little bit on the expensive side, but what it does, brightens, exfoliates, plumps lines, evens hyperpigmentation, increases circulation for instant radiance, and it really does do that. So I have a lot of freckles, and if I use this consistently and if I consistently wear sunscreen, my skin is bright and white and less spotty, and the sun's going down, so the lighting's getting really bad, so I apologize. This, like, I remember reading about it in 2008 or 9 when I was still too young to be using these things, and I also thought like, Jesus Christ, I'm not gonna spend $100 on this thing for my face. But now that I'm a little older with a little more disposable income, I get why this is a cult favorite, and I get why all the bloggers talk about this. So I use this as a serum. Basically it is a serum. So I toner, essence, water essence, water essence, and then I'll put this on and then put moisturizer over it. So that's the first one. The second two, I'm going to talk about masks. So Glam Glow, this is super awesome. This is the Youth Mud. I love how it's actually really gross when you put on a layer of it. It goes on black, so it smells kind of minty. So it's black, and then when it goes onto your face, it dries into this more like whiter clay looking color. And the gross part is that because it's like absorbing and extracting all of the dirty, oily things on your face, you can see like actual dots all over your face. I'll show you guys because I don't think that makes sense. Okay, so yeah, that's awesome. The second thing is this Fresh Black Tea Instant Perfecting Max, and it really does that. So I got this at Sephora from like one of those 500 point things, and I'm almost pretty much done. Smells pretty good too. This, you're supposed to put it on as a mask, leave on for 5-10 minutes, wash it off, and your skin will instantly, I can't even explain it, you can tell it's like visibly softer and suppler, and it like feels like a baby's butt cheek. It's really nice. Last thing, hair. Treatment mask. I've been dyeing my hair a lot since I think beginning of this year, so I decided to invest in a hair mask, and it is amazing. My hair, the texture of my hair is naturally very dry and frizzy, and this just does what it's supposed to do. I love it. Kerastase Nutritive Mask. Alright, so that is all of the beauty stuff. Now, the last two things that I want to talk about is musica. So the first one being Porter Robinson and Madion's Shelter live tour. The first time I saw Porter Robinson and Madion, actually. Alright, so the curve of this and then. Okay, so the sun is completely set now, but I'm just gonna go ahead and finish this video. So, as I was saying earlier before I got cut off, the first time I saw Porter Robinson and Madion at the same time was in 2008 on his first tour ever, first North American tour. Back then, Madion actually opened for Porter Robinson, and that was when Language first came out. So Shelter World Tour, Shelter Live World Tour, Shelter Tour. At the very end, the encore, Porter and Madion came back out. They played Shelter, where Madion sang, and he's a really, really good singer. And they mixed it with Language. And when it came on, I need a I'm just gonna show you guys laptop. So this is the full set.
Bank of America mobile banking app.
There's a talking llama. So this is the beginning of the encore. It's so pretty. This whole set was like an epic hero's journey. There's like fire and the like world's reconstructing itself. They go into the ocean, there's mountains, there's like a phoenix on fire, which symbolically means rebirth. Just a lot of feels, very nostalgic. Alright, guys get the point. So that is the first thing. The second thing would be a set from Manila Killa and Chuck Porter. They collaborated, or they, I guess, like have a mix together because they're both playing as Snow Globe. And this is Snow Tape Volume 4. And let me just play the ending. The ending.
Are you ready, kids? I can't hear you.
This is something else. That wasn't what I was trying to play, but that played anyway. So, okay, this is just the ending. Death Cab.
This is fact, not fiction.
Alright, so the rest of the set, this is the beginning. It's very like dancey, happy music. It's lighter, airier, gets like really intense every once in a while, but this is the vibes that I've been digging recently. And if you want to, Shelter, again, this is the song Shelter, actually. Yeah, I don't know, this is my first favorites video. I feel like it was kind of all over the place. That's my grandma. Mahal. Oh, she's gonna change. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Grandma's changing, and I'll see you guys next week.